covering in this training program. First of all, we will be keep developing the capability in ourselves, what exactly the API is. I am developing this course content in a way that even if you are a senior resource or already doing the testing, you still can understand the main purpose of API testing. What is REST API? What is difference between the REST API versus SOAP API? Why we are using the REST API these days as compared to SOAP? And what is the test, how we can do the API testing, and what exactly the fundamentals we need to understand. Like when someone else will ask you about the cookies, what exactly the main purpose for using the cookies, and how many types of authentications we can do with the help of API testing. And then what are the methods are available. So we will be having a detailed assignments as well in the upcoming week as well. And today I also be sharing with you the strategy, like how, where, and when we need to apply the get method, the post method, the put method, and delete method. And then we will also be having discussion in our upcoming session about how to test an API testing once we get the complete understanding about API testing. And what exactly the industry tools are available which will help you to perform API testing. Either you are working with any client, DHA client, or whatever the client will be, they will ask this question like, hey guys, you need to perform the API testing. So how you can recommend and suggest them now. But for this course, the tool which we will be covering here, the Postman, the one which I have just opened this interface now. So our goal will be and target will be to get the understanding about the API testing with the help of Postman now. And then we will also be moving towards our last session, which will be related towards our complete hands-on expertise you can get while understanding the Postman. So let's first of all try to understand about API. So if you see this diagram, in a organization you have lots of modules like customer modules, supplier modules, patrons modules, different apps are running, and all the different types of applications are requesting in a organization to respond their queries. Just like take example, like when we are having a lots of problem, we request to Junaid, like when how many leaves I have now, and how many annual leaves, or I need to, let's say, have a plan for vacations, or if you guys have any kind of personal query, so you will be requesting now. And basically the Junaid will be playing a role like a API, the middleware now, for resolving and forwarding your request to the management for any critical issues, and he will be respond you back after getting the responses now. So in the similar way, the API stands for application programming interface, and they are basically collection of your functions and procedures, and they need to be communicate with the library applications or in your current library. As you can see, this is a API, a connector. All these stuffs are connecting with the organization or the backend, which is called as the database now. And once this connector will be attaching with the organization, which is called as the API, so all the requests will be sending back to the client side now. So this is a simple word is called as the API. And another example is like most of you guys now doing the testing on the front end. And front end you have like any HTML page, the CSS page, or JS page. But behind the scenes, you don't know that how you are getting responses. So the responses you can see that are coming from the backend. And backend can be anything, like it can be the SQL database, it can be the MySQL database, it can be anything now. And if I again move towards, let's say, google.com, I would like to give you the practical example here. And if I would like to specify here software engineering, and when I enter here, I will be getting these results. So the results which I am getting here, this request, the client request, my request sent back to the client server side now, the Google server. And the request which I am sending, who will be sending my request to the server, which is called, I was showing you here as a database. This is called as the API. And if we want to know that what exactly the API of Google is, so if I keep my mouse here, and if I right click here, and if you click here in the view source page, so here you can see that. Let me show you. Let me open this thing in the Google Chrome. I have the extension for page inspector. And let me here. I just want to click here the new inspect. So you will be able to know that which API basically Google is using. So when we are talking about the APIs to know, you must need to go towards the network here now. And once you click here in the network, you then need to navigate towards the fetch and XHR. This is the area. And once you click here, now you will be able to see that these are the requests which I just specify software engineer are sending here now. And let me, if I write it down again, you can see that the google.com and after the question mark, the JSON request is sending now. No need to worry about this thing. We will be in detailed discussion each and everything in detail. But what I want to show you here, like this is how the real time when you are sending your request here in the live, like the entering something or specify anything in the search term. And once you will be right clicking here and view open source page, and your request will be moving towards your inspecting here now, sorry, and then the network, and then this area fetch here. And if I just control R, refreshing. So this is how the real-time request is sending now. You can see the responses are coming. And these responses, I have a question to Franny and where we are getting these responses. Any idea? Aziz? Yes, Asma. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I did not get your question.
So I was saying that the request which we just specify our in search term like software engineering. So where this request, the data is coming from, where we are getting the responses. This was the question.
The response you're getting from
Yes, this response, the response which I am showing here, and the timing and everything, these responses are coming in a simple word is called as the server side now. And if you just see here where my documentation I have clearly specified, like you are searching something, and when you type something in any front end, your request will be sent it back to the back end now. And the backend, the database is giving you the response. And response you will be able to see here when I will right click here. And when I click here in the page inspecting here now, and when I click here, so this is how I move towards the network. In the network area, all your APIs for Google are showing here now. So you can see that these are the requests, which basically if you come here, this is the URL, and this URL, the request is sending back to the server side. And the method we are using the get. We will see everything in detail. What does this mean? But right now, you just need to understand that whatever activity we are performing here, our respect request will be sent it back to the backend, and we are getting the response. And in one line, API is basically your interface between your software program or service. Any questions so far? Is that understood, guys?
Yes.
Does that make sense? Any question? Did you understand what I was saying?
Yes.
Okay, so let me explain more in detail. So you guys, most of us are having a activity like we are going for a restaurant, for a dinner, for a lunch. and we as a client basically representing ourselves now. And when the waiter will be coming to us and will be asking that, sir, how I can serve you, how I can help you, we will be sharing our personal preferences in the form of like, please order for a Chinese food or one soup, and then we need some rices and something else. And whatever the order we are sending back to the waiter is getting the order from us, and that order he will be send it back to the chef now. And the API, the waiter, is basically performing a role like a API connector between the client and between the chef. And chef is your backend. This is your, I just want to say, we just discussed here regarding the SQL database or the PHP, and the similar way, the chef is your database or your kitchen or the backend who will be getting the request from the waiter and respond accordingly to the waiter that is that food is available or not. If the food is available, then he will be responding back to the client like, okay, the food is ready and we are good to go with this one. So this is how nicely we can perform the API testing in the real time. And this example will also give you the inside information. The real time when we are performing any front end task, just I was showing you now, the similar way, your request will be sending back to the backend with the help of our APIs now. And then API is a message that takes your order, and that order is what exactly as a return you are getting the response. If response is positive and on time, you can say the test case will be passed. And if the response you are not getting on time, let's say when you are searching here the software engineering, and when you click here in the Google and you are not getting response within a 2 seconds. So my question to you guys, is that the API is working same as expected or not? What's your thoughts, guys? Yes, Franny.
Uh, you mean to say you don't get a response in 2 seconds?
Right. So
Whether
is
the
that, yes. So is that test case is passed or failed?
there can
So if I just navigate here, and if I just click here, the right side and inspect here. So here you can see if I again move towards the network, and I am getting the response here like get method and 200. But if I navigate towards the timing, and you can see here in the timing, I am getting the response for 430 milliseconds. So if you divide the 430 divided by 1000, so that will be the less than 1 second. So is that test case will be pass or fail?
Uh,
tell.
Yes,
I,
Aziz.
I think it depends on because sometimes when we do the testing, I'll just give you an example on it. We have set the response time for it. If like for 5 seconds, if I don't get my response back, so in that case, my test case will fail because I am not getting anything in response. So maybe there is a time we have set for the API to respond back and give fetch the data. Uh, if that makes sense to you, because in the our in the project I'm doing, I mean, in most of the guys you do, there is a specific response time for it, and after that, uh, if we don't get response in that set time, then we say that this failed, and if we do, then the test case passes. I believe this is what it is.
Yes, this is the right understanding. But one thing, Aziz, I just want to highlight here, like always remember that if there will be the business requirement that your API should respond less than 2 seconds. Even you can see in the header section, the response code is showing the 200. And we are getting the response now. But this green light does not mean that the API is working same as expected. We need to inspect the other elements, like what exactly the response we are getting now. So when we type the software engineering here, So either we are getting all the our expected result or not. In the return, like all the company's informations and all the data are presenting, and that data should be presenting, let's say within a 2 second, if there is a business requirement, then your thought process is absolutely right. But if there is no any restriction on the time framework, then you can say the test case is passed. But if there is a restriction that the API should respond you back within a 2 second, and if the result is not coming on time, then your API will be marked as the failed test case, and we need to report now. This is how we are having a main responsibility for performing our API testing now. This is the basic concept I just want to share you. In the upcoming lectures, when we will be performing more in detail, then we will see that the real time, the value, why this type of testing is very important, because if you want to gain the more revenues and more opportunities in an organization, and more respect in an organization, then you not only try to understand the front end testing, but also you need to have a sound expertise in the back end testing. And the API testing is the heart of back end testing. Right, guys? Any questions so far? Okay, no questions.
Asim, could you please reshare your video if you're? I'm not able to see it.
Guys, are you able to see my screen now? Faryal,
Yes.
Rubab.
Yes.
So can you please rejoin Franny if you
Okay,
can rejoin? So
I'll
I think there
disconnect and
might
join
be.
again.
The session already recording right now, so she can view after the meeting.
No worries. I'll disconnect and rejoin.
Oh.
Okay, so for your help, I also associating and adding some of the links in this document that will be shared with you guys after this session now. So you just need to open these links, and there are wonderful elaborations are also be presented regarding the API testing concepts now. And I would like to expect you that each and every one of you must try to understand more in detail about these topics. And next week, when you are coming, I will be asking the questions regarding the document now. And the type of API is like we are concerned about web APIs. This is our core main topic and the core main our agenda of this training and learning and development program. We need to understand what exactly the simple object access protocol. We need to understand remote procedural call, and we need to understand about the representational state transfer protocol. So these are the areas we will be working in our whole training program. And right now we understand like API testing when we are talking about is all about the integration within the services. Just like you can take the example of waiter and the chef and between the client is the real-time example. And what exactly, in a simple words, we are discussing about the REST API testing. So the REST API testing is all about, we are call them as a stateless key now. The real-time stateless key means that we are validating the errors. We are ensuring there is no any kind of loading problems, and we don't have any response error codes now. So if you just closely review again the information here and navigate towards the network, you can see that there are the codes are showing now 200. Any idea, guys, what exactly this means?
The
It's a
website is
success code.
working
Success code.
fine and response on time.
Okay, so if the error codes, these are the error codes, and your client is asking what is the mean of, let's say, if the error code is 404 is coming or 401 is coming. So what does this mean?
If
Or what?
404 is coming from the page is not found or service not responding on the side.
Absolutely right. So these are the things. If such kind of things are responses codes are coming now, you must have a clear cut knowledge about what exactly the meaning of each and everything now. So your assignment for the next session will be, I need a list of all the codes you need to prepare and you need to share with me. And I will be asking you random question for any one of you, like Freya, Aziz, Franny, Rubab, like what exactly the meaning of 201? What exactly the meaning of 202? Why we are using, what if the error is coming 404? What does this mean? How we can interpret these things in our test cases now. So these are the things you need to do the homework now. And this is your second assignment. The one assignment, the document which I will be sharing with you after this session, or you need to go through as much as you can now till today's session. And also you need to understand about the concepts of all the codes now. Because if you are unable to understand the concepts of the codes now, I would like to say that will be very difficult now, because these are the heart of your API testing, the backbone of the API testing now. So during the client interview, let's say if we are forward your CV towards our respected customers, like Rubab is a very good tester in API, or Aziz knows very well, Maham knows very well, or Faryal knows very well, Franny knows very well. So you guys must have the sound knowledge about the concept of different kinds of codes now, right, guys? And also, you need to understand, I am just not moving right now this session for the practical tool now. We will be moving towards the tool work for our next session. But this session is all about the introduction about the API testing. Why we are doing the API testing? What exactly the purpose of API testing? What exactly the core objective of the API testing? And what kind of end expected results you need to get? Another question I would like to ask you, what is mean by the endpoint? Anyone would like to answer this question?
What, sir? Can you repeat the question?
The question is, what is mean by endpoint? Let me write down here. What
Endpoint.
is what is what is endpoint?
Endpoint is the server which I hit the website. Like I I search something in on map. So map is response on the same time. It's a endpoint which I try to reach this website.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. I would like to recommend rest of you guys also. There is a lot of elaborations are available on the internet now. Each and every one of you must try to go towards the youtube.com, and you need to search here what is endpoint in API testing. So if I just write here, what is endpoint in API? So there are lots of information is available. This is your another assignment, and you need to elaborate with me the practical example of why we are using the endpoints and what exactly the main purpose is now. And then why we are using the REST API as compared to the SOAP, the request or the XML request, because of these six functionality. One is the uniform interface the REST API is providing. The most important thing in my experience, if I would like to share with you, other than these six areas, the REST API is important because it helps us for fetching the results, adding the results, deleting the results, updating the results, validating the results, verification of codes, verification of errors, and controlling the times now. So that is the reason REST API is very important and in the business these days now. But if you are talking about, you can read these stuff yourself now. I just want to save your time. If you are talking about the SOAP APIs, why SOAP is not very much important. So the difference is the only thing which I have told you is all about the representations. Like this is providing us the REST API in the form of very beautiful manners, a pretty format like JSON formats, like text formats. But in SOAP APIs, we can only get the responses in the form of XML format now. Any one of you, any idea about the XML? Yes, guys. How many of you know about the XML?
XML is divide the data in chunks. Like some fields is defined in very wide rule, and we can read in difficult.
So if you see here, this is the practical example of XML,
Yep. Yes.
right? So this example is showing a soap example now. So I just want to show you the difference why soap is no more utilizing these days. And if the client is asking you like, are you testing with the soap UI, or sorry, not a soap UI, with the soap request, or you are using with the REST request now. So you always give them the preferences like we are using for the REST API testing. And the approach you are using here, the REST API, is only because of the four elements which I told you. But if you just need to validate here, you can see, first of all, you need to understand the signature here now. Like a SOAP envelope, this is the architecture of SOAP request. And this is very hard to understand. Like even we cannot memorize these stuff. But with the help of tools like Postman, which this is our main target and plan, when we will be performing, we can easily see the parameters, we can easily see what exactly the body and the responses we are getting now. So these are the things we need to understand. And this is what exactly our main the purpose of this session is for today, because we are late today, but inshallah next times with the help of collaboration with Junaid, we will be having a proper, we will start this session on time. But for today, your assignment should be like, you need to understand, first of all, what is API. This is the first thing we have covered today. What is API testing? You need to understand the scope of API. This is your another assignment. You need to go to the YouTube. You need to find out the article. And I will be asking the multiple questions, and each and every one of you should prepare a presentation now. Right, guys? And I will be also be expecting that you need to elaborate me the difference between the uniform interface, stateless interface, what is the cacheable, client server, and these are the things I will be explaining you in next session. But for right now, just try to do some R&D. Any question, guys? I think we have 44 minutes. Have we have covered now? Anything else?
Sir, what do you suggest if, I mean, is REST API is as secure as SOAP? What
Yes,
are
that
your thoughts on that?
So the REST API is more secure as compared to SOAP. The reason is basically I already told you about, like, this is the latest architecture, and with the help of these, we are validating, we are ensuring, we are also making sure this thing that the time should be properly manageable. But the requests is which we are getting from here in SOAP requests, that will be very difficult and hard to understand now, like you can see here now, the post general inquiry. We are only getting these matters SMTP now. If you just, this is another, I would like, the more the concepts you have now, the better the understand. 90% of you, I can bet every one of you that you are knowing each and everything. But when in the client interview, they will be asking you about what is the difference between the REST API and the SOAP API, we will be blind on that time. So instead of I will be explaining everything, I would like to have another assignment for you, that you need to have a R&D on these two terms. But I have shared with you my experience, like the REST API is in a business due to these four elements. The JSON request, we are getting the pretty format, like let me show you the tool now. So you can see here in the tool, we can get the different formats now. Like you can see the list of format. But in the SOAP request, we are only getting the responses from only the XML. Did you get my point, Aziz?
Yes, sir, pretty much.
Okay, but more in
Sir,
detail,
don't we use the REST APIs
SOAP
mostly
API.
for
SOAP.
writing the public APIs?
All
And
right.
just in case if we are developing a system that's an enterprise level system, so what
Being
should be the approach of, I mean, which should we write the REST APIs or services for it, or should we go for the SOAP?
we no need to write anything. We just need a endpoints. And with those endpoints, we need to do the testing. We are not here for developing the APIs. We are here only for ensuring and validating and verification of the APIs. That's it. Right, guys? That makes sense?
Yes, yes, sir, it does.
Okay, so I think that's enough for today. We have almost 60 minutes is coming right now. So do you guys have any question, or Anything would you like to ask? Feel free to ask. Otherwise, just note down your assignment. I need three assignments I am sharing right now. One is each and every one of you prepare the list of all the codes now. Second one, you need to have the complete R&D and give me the real-time example of difference between the REST API and the SOAP APIs. And the third assignment will be these six terms. I need your understanding now. Then I will share my thoughts.